Wait a minute.
Hi everyone, it's Kiyoshi, aka OBiGem. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell to be notified of all future videos. And if you like what you see, please do hit the like button so I know to keep making content like this. So we're back with another episode of Growing Up Genki. And we are back with part 2 of this double date. Not necessarily a double date, because double date normally implies 2 different couples on a date together. This is one person going on a date with 2 different guys on the same day. But I like the sound of it, so that's what we're going to call it. So, as you can see, Hana had a little bit of a wardrobe change. She did go ahead and head back to Zarya's house real quick, and Zarya put together this real chill outfit for her. She's like, look, this outfit right here kind of speaks to it being a little bit dressy, but also a whole lot of bit cash. So, at the end of the last episode, you remember that Kiyoshi gave Hana a gift, and that gift happened to be her engagement ring to symbolize their engagement. They've been engaged for a while now, and she hasn't really had an engagement ring, so he decided to give that to her. I'm gonna pop a screenshot in right now of what that engagement ring looks like, because she made the wise choice not to wear it to the date, because not only would it be hard to explain why she had a ring on her ring finger, but unfortunately Kiyoshi's choice of rock was one that was not inconspicuous at all. And this is a large rock that he gave her, which, look, let's be real, if you got an engagement ring that was that large, I don't think many of us would be hiding it. But it's one of those things that you wouldn't be able to kind of like come up with a lie that it's anything but an engagement ring, because it's just so extravagant looking. She's like, I'm gonna go ahead and, you know, put this in my overnight bag so Zarya doesn't see. She kind of like hid it away when she went back to Zarya's house to change. And she's like, obviously I'm not gonna wear this to school, but I'm pretty sure that Megumi is going to expect me to wear the engagement ring around the house, so I'll just keep it for then. But funnily enough, Megumi was the one who kind of had a large hand in helping Kiyoshi pick it out for her. So yeah, Megumi's got expensive taste, and she likes to flaunt her wealth around. And she's like, Kiyoshi, if you really want to show her how much you love her, you get her the most expensive, largest rock in the jewelry store. And so that's what Kiyoshi did. But that's neither here nor there. We are here in date number 2. Brae is obviously getting over a cold here, but they are at the mall. So Brae decided to bring them to the mall because they had a movie theater. He's like, yeah, they've got a new horror film. Do you want to see it with me? And obviously Brae's idea of it was like, well, shoot, I'll watch something scary with her and she'll get all freaked out and cuddle up next to me, and it'll be a way for me to make my move. Brae's got one thing on the mind, and funnily enough, Brae's house is right there, so they live right next to the mall. So Hana noticed that as soon as she got here, and it put Zachary right back on her mind again, and she's like, I wonder if Zachary made it back home. Zachary's in their house, and she's like, you need to stop thinking about Zachary. Zachary doesn't think of you that way, and so you need to stop thinking about Zachary. Like, you're on a date with Brae now, start thinking about Brae. So she's like, you know, I hope that, you know, this date with Brae goes well, and hopefully I'll be able to have some fun. So we're gonna go ahead and get this date started. So Brae's like, it's nice to see you here, Hana. You look great. And she's like, thank you. He's like, you excited to see the movie? And she's like, I hope it's good. And he's like, well, look, if you get scared, just hold my hand. I'll protect you. And Hana's like, oh, okay, sure. And Hana's just really loving the attention from Brae. She's like, see, this is how it's supposed to feel. When a guy is just really into you, it's not supposed to feel the way it does with Zachary. With me feeling like I'm constantly getting mixed messages, and then he's not really into me. I can tell that Brae's into me, so this date is already on the right track. And they can commemorate their date together. Hana whipped out her phone. She's like, let's take a selfie. And they actually look kind of really adorable together. They're cute. And so we're going to go ahead and take this shot. But yeah, they look pretty good together. What do you guys think? Y'all think they look good? I think they do. They are catching an 8 o'clock showing of Sins of the Dead, and I just love this movie theater and this mall build. If you guys are interested in this at all, just go ahead and let me know in the comment section below, and I'll drop the gallery ID deets. But this is such a good theater, but they are sitting together, and it's so cute. Let's watch them from the front. We all know what this movie looks like. Looks like they're not really enjoying the movie too much. I guess it wasn't as scary as they both thought it was, which is kind of a bummer for Brae, because he's like, I thought she'd get scared and she'd cuddle up against me, but this is kind of a lame movie. And Hana's like, yeah, this is actually kind of like not a great horror film. I kind of wish we were watching something else. And it's kind of, since it's not been catching our interest, it has her mind wandering back to Zachary again. She's like, I wonder what he's doing right now. I mean, their house is like right there. I mean, is it possible he could just walk into this mall any minute? And she's like, you need to stop thinking about Zachary. Like, you're on a date with Brae. Like, get it together, sis. You gotta stay in the game. So she's like, just focus on Brae, and maybe we can do something fun after this movie. But it's just not been good. And Brae's just been talking to this movie, being like, this is so lame. The special effects look so fake. And like, did you see that? Like, that looks like it's some sort of like error in a movie. I think I saw the person underneath the costume. And Hana's like, yeah, unfortunately it looks like the sequel to Sins of the Dead is kind of lame, but it could be, you know, you could kind of like laugh at it. Maybe it could be so bad it's good, you know. And he's like, yeah, I guess. I'm sorry it's not a great movie. She's like, look, not every movie's a winner.
Hold up, wait a minute.
When the game wants to just like interrupt your date with random hookups, we hate to see it. So Brae, after the movie, decides to get them both some drinks from the food court on the second floor, so that is where they are now. He did ask her if she wanted anything to eat. He's like, look, there's an Asian food stall over there. We could get something from there. That they might have stuff that you like. And Hana's like, no, I ate before we came. I'm fine. I don't need anything. And he's like, oh, I just thought you might like that. Like, isn't that cool that they have an Asian stall here? And she's like, I mean, I guess. You know, I don't just eat Asian food. I eat all types of food, especially, you know, when I'm in Lindenberg. I actually like to eat the cafe food around here. It's really good. And he's like, oh, well, you know, it's a cafe across the way. Have you been there before? And she's like, yeah, I have. And he's like, oh, well, I got his orange juices instead of some food since you're not hungry. I did want to go and see if they had anything to drink in the Japanese drink vending machine downstairs. You know, they've got green tea in that. Would you have maybe preferred that? And she's like, no, I mean, I'm okay with orange juice. Like, I don't just, you know, drink green tea and Asian stuff, Brae. You know, I eat and drink a bunch of stuff. And during this whole conversation, she's just been getting the feeling that Brae doesn't really get her. Like, he was like talking to her about, yeah, you know, I eat at the Asian stall all the time, and we've got like the best Chinese food. And Hana's like, I'm not Chinese, but I mean, I'll take your word for it. And then all that talk about getting drinks from the you know, Japanese vending machine upstairs, she's all like, I don't know if he like looks at me like I'm a novelty or something. But, you know, I'm interested in other stuff outside of, you know, my own culture. I like all types of things. But, like, the whole time, Brae's just wanting to ask her questions about, oh, so, like, is everybody in Mount Komorebi, do they wear those little sailor uniforms to go to school? And she's like, I don't know, like, some of them, I guess. And he's like, oh, you know, I heard so many great things about the hot springs there, too. Like, is it true that you guys actually bathe like together and you're all nude and it's co-ed? And she's like, not really. the hot springs near where I live, it's not like that. And she's all like, oh, I've always just wanted to go there to try all the food and see all the girls in their sailor outfits. I was getting a bit bored with the conversation just because she just feels like Brae has like a weird fetishy kind of fascination with her culture, and she's like, you know, there's a whole lot more to Mount Komorebi than, you know, sailor uniforms and hot springs and all of that. And I mean, if you ever did decide to come out, I'd be happy to show that to you. But I just am getting the impression that all your ideas about it are stuff that comes from, TV shows and movies, and I'm a whole lot more than that. Like, I'd rather not just talk about those types of things. And Brae's like, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you would want to talk about stuff like that. I've kind of been a bit nervous about this date because I wanted to seem interesting to you, so I looked up a bunch of stuff in relation to stuff that I've seen in movies and whatnot, so we had things to talk about. And she's like, we don't have to talk about those types of things. When I hang out with Zachary, we don't ever really talk about these types of things. We just, have regular conversations. And he's like, oh, Zachary can be a bit boring. And she's like, I don't know about that. Like I mentioned before, Zachary can be a bit funny, but I've always found our conversations interesting. He's like, oh, like, what have you guys talked about? And she's like, school. He told me about, him growing up. And she's like, do you have any stories about Zachary when you guys growing up? And he's like, well, Zachary's always been kind of funny, like you mentioned. And, Zachary's always been like a kind of a scaredy cat. When we first moved in with his mom, he used to be deathly afraid of dark and monsters under the bed. It was really funny. And Hana, like, that kind of really tickled her. She's like, that seems like Zachary, that's funny. And Brae, as the conversation's been going on, of them talking about, his family life and Zachary, he's getting the impression that Hana really is just kind of only interested in talking about Zachary. Brae's like, I don't know if she's really interested in me in that way, and she's super cute, but it seems as though we don't really have a whole lot in common, and the only common ground we've had to talk about since his date has begun is Zachary. And he's getting the feeling in his head, and he's like, does she maybe have a thing for Zachary? Is that what this is? That she's got a crush on Zachary? Which is foreign territory for him, because Brae is normally used to all the girls being more interested in him and then completely ignoring Zachary, or just like him not even being a blip on most girls' radar. And he's in like an odd position where he's all like, am I losing out to my little brother here? Is she actually really interested in Zachary over me? And, the more he's having a conversation, he's feeling they're having a more comfortable conversation now. But again, it's Zachary-centric, so he's like, let me go use the bathroom. I just need to clear my head a bit. But he's like, I'm pretty sure that she's just interested in Zachary, and I don't know, I don't think this is gonna go anywhere. And Hana's all like, thank you for, asking me out to the movies, though. I think it's best if we do call it a night. It's pretty late. I'm gonna head back to my friend's house, but thanks, Brae, for, hanging out for me today. It was great. And he's like, no, like, thank you for entertaining my time. I'm sorry the movie wasn't very good. And she's like, no, it's not your fault. You know how movies go. But, maybe I'll see you over at Zachary's another time. He's like, hey, maybe I'll ask you out on another date. And she's like, you don't have to. He's like, no, Hana, I really mean it. You're super cute, and I hope maybe at another date I might be able to get things right and not make you feel uncomfortable. And she's like, it's not that. I just, it'd be nice to talk about other things outside of Malcolm Arabi Asian culture. Oh, shoot! This is actually one of the members from the Young Adventurers Club. Looks like she was hanging out in the mall and she saw Hana, and she's like, hey, Hana, I thought that was you. And, who is this? This is Sine. And so this is Sine-chan from the Young Adventurers Club. They go to school together. And she's like, hi, Sine. I was actually about to head out now, but this is Brae, Zachary's brother. You know Zachary from the club. She's like, yeah, of course, but I'm gonna go ahead and just have her talk to Sine just a little bit, and then she's just gonna say goodbye and say, hi, I've gotta go. It's very, very late. Look, it's almost 2 a.m. and they've got school tomorrow. So she's like, I'll see you guys at school, I guess. And they're like, of course. So Hana is back from her date, and she decided to check in with Zarya, who looks like she is feeling all of it sick, but ignore that. So she's like, how was your date? And she's like, it was okay. The movie we went to was kind of boring, and I don't know if it really went that well, because, he just kept on asking me weird stuff about Malcolm Arabi that seemed kind of, touristy, or like a little bit maybe like fetishy. Like, it was kind of weird. And she's like, oh, was that bad? So you guys didn't have anything fun that you talked about? And she's all like, well, I mean, things kind of turned around when he started talking about his family, and we talked about Zachary, and, things got better. Anyway, but you know, things kind of got better with that. And she's like, oh, so things got better when you started talking about Zachary, huh? And she's like, stop already. You already got into it with me about how you thought that, you know, I was into Zachary, Zachary's into me, but it's not true. I'm not into Zachary, and Zachary's not into me. She's like, if you say so, but, you know, proof's in the pudding, girl. And she's like, I guess. And she's all like, but I'm gonna probably head upstairs and get ready for bed soon. She's like, I'll meet you up. But I did want to bring something up. I did notice something when you came in earlier to change. And she's like, oh yeah, what was that? And she's like, well, you had like a pretty huge rock on your hand. She's like, oh, I'm tired. I'm about to head back upstairs. I think your eyes were deceiving you. And she's like, I don't know. It was pretty big. And she's all like, I think you're thinking the wrong thing. I picked up some costume jewelry. They were selling at the park. That's all that was. She's like, really? Costume jewelry? And she's like, yes, it was costume jewelry, I promise you. She's like, if you say so. So, like I mentioned before, Zarya's pretty worldly. So, with Hana saying that the ring that she came in with was costume jewelry, that might be enough to fool somebody else who's not as worldly as Zarya is. But Zarya's been all over the world. She's seen a lot of things. And, you know, she's like, that didn't look like costume jewelry to me. I've seen, you know, some expensive jewelry and diamonds and, you know, some pretty big deal jewelry places. Please do not mind. I have my wicked wind settings, like, obviously I have my wicked wind settings not set up correctly right now, and certain things are happening that don't normally happen, such as peeping Sims in Windows, so I'm gonna have to turn that off later, but ignore that. Anyway, she's thinking, you know, I've seen some pretty expensive jewelry in a lot of the places that we traveled to when my dad was a diplomat, and that ring she was wearing looked pretty legit. And it looked like it was on her ring finger. So, I mean, I know that she didn't get engaged to Zachary's brother Brae, so I don't know what that ring's about, but I'm just gonna give her time to kind of sit with that, and maybe she'll come to me when she's ready to tell me about what that ring's about, but I know for sure that ring is real. So, Zarya's kind of curious now what's going on with her, but with Hana, but she's not gonna push it because, again, she wants to be friends with Hana. She wants Hana to be able to trust her and be good gal pals with her. So she's like, I'm just gonna let it go, and maybe she'll come to me and talk to me about it when she's ready. But we're gonna end things here, you guys. What did you think of Hana's date with Brae? It was kind of a bust, as it went. The movie was bad. He kind of boiled her down to like being like an Asian stereotype, which is literally the worst. And they didn't really seem to have any fun until he started talking about Zachary. So, what do you think about that, you guys? Y'all still shipping Hana with Zachary? Or did last episode's date with Kiyoshi have some of you guys come around? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. But as always, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and of course, stay dazzled. I will see you in the next one. Bye!